was Christian, what were my convictions about sex before marriage? Did you have any? At what point in your walk with God did that change? Any tips how to reduce lusting after guys and getting obsessive? Someone asked, have I ever struggled with porn or masturbation? Don't need to answer if it's too personal. Girl, nothing's too personal over here. What are some things that you personally do to change your heart posture to seek God rather than attention from a guy?
It helps the speaker lead his audience into the scene he describes by creating an imaginary picture.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Kian and I'm so excited to be making this video today. It is going to be the part 2 to my Christian dating Q&A, and we're going to just talk about dating, being single, and everything in between, mostly related to Christian dating. So I'm going to go through your questions. These ones were left on my community page. If you didn't know, I try to post on there pretty frequently, so make sure you are subscribed and you have on post notifications. First question is from Catherine, and she asked, how do you combat those days where you just really crave a boyfriend? That is a good question, and I've definitely had those days in the past, and I probably will have them in the future. It can be tough. I think the first thing to ask yourself is, what exactly is triggering this? Am I watching a bunch of YouTube couples? Am I talking to my friends about their boyfriends? Am I constantly talking about being married? Where is my focus right now? I find that when I'm craving a boyfriend, it's usually because I'm focused on something that has to do with men or relationships. So in those times, I just realign and reshift my focus to like, what does God want me to focus on right now? How can I fulfill my purpose alone right now? How can I be encouraging others? Just really intentionally shifting that focus to something completely different is very helpful for me. Another thing is just realizing like these are just feelings that will come and go, and I don't need to act on them, just observe them. I think that's a really powerful tool, is just to observe your feelings and realize like, you know, this is how I feel right now. That's okay. I'm gonna feel different tomorrow. I'll feel different the next day, but eventually this craving is going to subside. Just like when it comes to like food or whatever, like cravings come and go. Acknowledging the fact that they will pass is very helpful as well. Also, start distracting yourself. Like take your, whatever it is you're craving about a relationship, try to find that within your relationship with God and within yourself. Okay, Nicole is asking about one of her guy friends was saved shortly after she was, and it has been strictly platonic. But he has expressed that he has feelings for her, and that he said God told him that he was going to marry her. However, she doesn't feel the same way, and she's just like having a really hard time navigating this whole situation. So I was in a relationship where the guy I was dating, I'm sorry if it's getting loud. The guy I was dating, so I was in a situation where I was dating a guy who actually repeatedly told me that he was gonna marry me, and he really had me convinced for a while. I really felt like he knew. He specifically told me when I was 26 is when I was going to want to marry him, and it was I don't think he intended to manipulate the situation, but it was very much manipulation, because I got to a point where I was like, really, God, like I have to marry this person, and it was literally only because he had spoken it over us so many times where I almost felt trapped. And I'm just here to remind you, if someone is telling you that you guys are going to end up together or going to get married, that is a human being telling you that, and that is not God. And that is what God told me, because I was constantly worried about, oh my gosh, I have to marry this guy. And then God was like, yeah, maybe he said that, but I never told you that you were going to marry him. I never said you needed to be with him. And God really brought me that peace in knowing like God will direct me, and I don't need to listen to this imperfect, insecure human who's trying to maybe convince himself that this relationship is safe for him or whatever his reasons were. That situation, I would definitely say maybe to put that friendship on pause, and if he still crosses those lines, then I think just space would be best for both of you, and I think that would be the best protection for both of your hearts. Never allow someone to brainwash you into thinking you need to marry them, because that is crazy. Someone asked, have I ever struggled with porn or masturbation? Don't need to answer if it's too personal. Girl, nothing's too personal over here. I actually have not struggled with it. I did watch it a few times, maybe like more than a few, I would say, when I was younger in middle school, when I was trying to figure out exactly what sex was. So I watched it then. I don't think it was very actively, and I think I would masturbate around that age as well, but I kind of just slowly drifted out of it. I can't remember the last time I masturbated, like years and years, but I do know that like some people really do struggle with that. So I wish I could give you advice. I know if you pray, God will bring you the solution that's right for you. But yeah, that's not something I have personally struggled with. Part of me wish I had, like sometimes I just wish I struggled with everything so I could have, like, give better advice. But I did do a video with my friend Cooper on masturbation and pornography that you can watch, and he used to struggle with it, so maybe that is some insight that he could give you a little bit better than I can. So I'll link that below. Ariana asked, now that you look back at your old life apart from God, do you remember any instances when he used people to speak into your life or lead you to him? How did he pursue your heart? So if you watch my testimony video, there is definitely a lot of things within that. But one thing I did leave out of my testimony video, I don't think intentionally, but God definitely used people, and one of them specifically was Cooper, who I was just talking about, who I did that video with. I had like randomly thought about, like, I came across one of his friends' posts on Facebook, and then I was like, oh, that reminds me of Cooper. And then I like looked at his Instagram, and he was posting all this stuff about Jesus, and I was like, what the heck is going on? I wonder if I still have those messages. But I reached out to him, and I just asked him to kind of like tell me about God, and he so happened to be in town the next week, and we met up, and he talked to me about God for like 3 hours, and I know God really used him just to plant a really strong seed in me. And then throughout the next 6 months, God used so many other ways to water that seed. But yeah, Cooper was definitely like a planter of seeds in my life. I'm trying to think if I think he deleted his Instagram, so I don't think I'll be able to find the messages that I sent him, but yep, God definitely used people. Okay, somebody asks about, she keeps going back to her exes for sex. She's single right now and wants to stay absent, but she has all this temptation. She says that they definitely screwed her over, and she doesn't know really how to stop going back to them. So if you're going back to somebody who hurt you, it's usually has something to do with like your self-worth, and maybe doing that is bringing you some kind of validation of some sorts, or like a false sense of peace. So I would really, well, first off, do whatever you need to not do that. So block numbers, delete people, block people on social media, have an accountability buddy. Sadie. Okay, dogs galore, dogs galore. Like I was saying, first thing first is put systems in place to keep you accountable to not do that. The second thing would be to reflect, journal, pray, and really try to get to the root cause of why you feel the need to go back to men for that. I'm sure that, like, if you could, there's so many different ways. Like the Landmark personal development course that I did, it was very helpful for me in healing from past relationships, but you really need to dig in deep and figure out why you are so addicted to that feeling. And I think if you can get to the bottom of that and just pray about it, God will reveal it. So definitely look into that, because if you can pinpoint why you do something and deal with that hurt and pain, it will change your actions around that area completely. Kirsty, I believe is how you say it, asks, how do you stay friends after a relationship? and how do you navigate breakups, how much to talk to them, and when to see them again. So me personally, I believe that you shouldn't be friends after a breakup. I don't think it's necessary at all, which is kind of hypocritical for me to say because I just FaceTimed my ex-boyfriend like a few weeks ago. So I think there has to be a solid few months at least. Everybody's different, but I think there definitely needs to be a complete separation of some sort for, I would say, at least 3 months. But like I said, everybody's different. Like there have been men that I needed to not talk to for years before I could even consider them a friend. But I just like, why do you need to be friends with your ex? I really don't understand why people think they need to be friends with their exes. I think it's just bogus. If you have to figure out a way to navigate it, you probably shouldn't be friends with them, because friendship should be easy. Friendship shouldn't be really complicated. So if you're having challenges with that, that is a clear indicator that you shouldn't maybe be friends with them right now. And I'm not saying forever. Like I said, I've talked to my ex recently and I support him from afar, but I'm not like texting him every day. I'm not meeting up with him. Like there's definitely still boundaries in place. So yeah, take your space, block each other's numbers. I love blocking people's numbers, especially after breakups. Like, just do it. This is a good question. Ariana asked, before I was Christian, what were my convictions about sex before marriage? Did you have any? At what point in your walk with God did that change? Before I was Christian, I always had like a desire to wait for someone special, to lose my virginity, and to wait till I was like in love and trusted someone. I would only really sleep with my long-term boyfriends for the most part. So that was definitely not a conviction I had before I was Christian. I didn't even know anybody who was waiting till marriage. I had like some conviction of I don't want to sleep around with everybody. Like I still held sex to a higher standard than that, or a higher value than that, but I was still having sex without any issues. And I definitely would say I was embracing my sexuality, whatever that means. I guess that's how society would label it right now. Now I view embracing my sexuality as waiting, because I think that's an amazing way to embrace my sexuality, is restoring its value. But anyway, what point in my walk did God change that? I would say it started within the first 6 months or so. And I went to coffee with somebody from church. And this is another person who definitely God used in my walk. And I went to coffee with this guy from church, and he explained to me that he was waiting for marriage and how special that's going to be for him. And yeah, he just really shared his heart about it, and he encouraged me and sent me some videos that I should watch, which I've recommended over and over again. It is the New Rules for Love, Sex, and Dating. I'll have it linked below. So I watched that series after he recommended it to me. It completely changed my view on sex. It got the wheels rolling in my head, and I would say after I started watching those videos, that's when everything started clicking, and my convictions about waiting till marriage just started to like flood in. Kate wants to know my advice for young single Christians. I would like to do a whole video about that, just like general tips, but a few off the top of my head is learn to date yourself, find fulfillment where you're at. I don't know, just really embrace being single, because you're not gonna like you're gonna spend the rest of your life with somebody, which may sound like fun, but honestly, like this is the only time you can be completely selfish with your decisions and not take someone else's feelings into consideration. So just like be free and enjoy it. Like enjoy this season where you're developing with God. And I think another thing would be focus on is to become what you're looking for. See, Nashville. Oh. Okay, Sadie. Hey guys, everybody calm down. This is my dog Nashville. Oh, you're so cute. You just got a haircut. Okay, I have to go to work, so I don't know if I answered enough questions. We will see. Maybe I will continue filming this. Okay, this is a hot mess. Okay, it's the next day, so if anything looks different, that's a why, but I'm wearing the same thing. Tried to do the same makeup Now I'm just giving away all my secrets. So now it doesn't even matter. Okay, so the question was, how do you prepare for a relationship in singleness?
Sorry, I don't know that one.
Me either, girl. Me either. I mean, this would be a great question to ask someone who's married or someone who's in a relationship. But since I'm single, what I'm doing to prepare is learning how to be a servant, learning how to love others without expectation, learning how to be selfless, becoming more aware of my needs, my emotions, building patience, love, just really trying to build those Jesus qualities within myself. As for some deal breakers, I feel like the biggest deal breaker is just someone who's a non-believer, who doesn't have the same values as me. Someone who doesn't have self-confidence, I think, is a deal breaker, because I never want to provide someone with that. I think that's something we all need to have on our own. Okay, Bethany asks, what are some things that you personally do to change your heart posture to seek God rather than attention from a guy? That is such a good question, and it varies, but I find that if I am seeking attention from a guy, usually God just like, God is funny. He does stuff to kind of like slap me on the wrist for sure. But something else I would recommend is, what exactly are you doing to seek that attention? Like, are you posting something on social media for that attention? Are you showing up where he's at? Are you dressing a particular way to look better in front of him? And I would just become conscious of the changes that you're making, and then make an effort to not do those things. So if I know I'm intentionally posting something for a guy's attention or for a guy to see, I will not necessarily block him, but I'll like mute him on Instagram, or I'll be like, I'll just stop and check myself, like, what is your intention for doing this? But yeah, muting someone on Instagram if you're constantly checking their stuff is awesome. So that's something I've had to do in the past. And also, yeah, just asking yourself the question, what is the purpose behind me doing this? Is it because I genuinely just want to do this, or am I doing this for some kind of exterior attention, exterior motive? Amelia, I think how you say it, asks, how do you deal with loneliness? Any tips and tricks, especially when you are already feeling low? Do you have any tips towards reducing lusting over guys and getting obsessive about specific guys? Okay, lots of questions here. Dealing with loneliness, figure out exactly why you're feeling lonely. Do you just need to be in social settings, as in like you just need to be in a coffee shop around a lot of people? Do you need more quality time? Do you need to be spending time with your friends and family? Do you need more prayer or time with God? There's so many reasons why we can feel lonely, and I think you can find all that fulfillment within friends, God, and yourself without having to like go to a man for that. So yes, I think all my answers come back to being self-aware and really pinpointing why you're feeling this way, because I don't really believe in the method of distracting yourself and like putting a band-aid on it. I believe in going straight to the source and figuring out why exactly you feel that way, because I could sit here and be like, oh yeah, go to the mall, like take yourself shopping, hang out with your friends, but at the end of the day, that's not really healing whatever insecurity that's going on, you know, or not insecurity, but just like that void that's really in your heart. So I encourage you for all this to just dig deep, watch some motivational videos, watch sermons on loneliness, because I think the best way to deal with loneliness is to figure out why you feel lonely, because that's the only thing that's going to change it, like permanently. And like when you're already feeling low, I think definitely telling somebody about how you're feeling is an important place to start. I encourage you to look up your Enneagram type. It's just this like personality quiz, but knowing my type has really helped me learn a lot more about how I function and what different things I need to do to function better. And I think just having a basis understanding of like who I am and what I am, it just helps me problem solve through things a lot better. So I would look up your Enneagram type and see if that brings you any answers, because if you're feeling low already, there might be things in your personality that triggers that, and you can easily navigate it once you more easily navigate it once you figure out kind of like the basis of your personality, I guess. Okay, the next one is any tips how to reduce lusting after guys and getting obsessive. So I am like so happy that I'm past this place, and maybe I'll go back, but I haven't lusted or obsessed over guys intensely as I used to. Like, I would say 6 months ago, it would be very intense. And back then, what I would do, like, there would be a couple days where I was just stuck in it, and I would like want to talk to my friends about it. But I found it was better to pray about it and then release it to God and then not talk about it anymore. When I kept talking about a guy, he was constantly in my head. And I just kept obsessing over it more the more I like told my friends about it or talked about it. So that's something that I realize is if I'm feeling like lustful and obsessive, then I just need to stop talking about it, talk to it about God, and then release it to him and just trust that he's going to work everything out, and I just don't need to be constantly blabbering on about it. Like I was saying earlier, muting them on social media so I'm not tempted to look like unfollowing them if I need to, just kind of like out of sight, out of mind. There was times where I had to delete my Instagram app because it was like a trigger for that lust or obsession. So sometimes just like deleting that for a day to take out that distraction. Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of things. If you are really feeling in it and you know he's going to be at like a certain church service, just go to a different one. As much as you want to be at the same one as him, just go to a different one. Create that separation until you feel like have calmed down, because it really is just like a spike in emotion. And then I found like I would have this spike of very intense emotion and I'm like, what do I do with this? And I would just obsess and lust. But then after a couple days, it like completely just comes back down and you are like, not really even interested in them anymore. So just be aware that it could just be a spike in emotion, and sometimes you just need to let it pass. Someone asked, before I was a Christian, what did you think about Christians? Did you know any, and what were your impressions of them? That's a great question. Someone wanted me to do a video responding to like Christian taboos. I don't know if it was Christian taboos, but someone told me they weren't allowed to watch Harry Potter growing up, and I was like, really? What did I think about Christians? I mean, I grew up going to church, so like the people at church I thought were nice. I guess I just thought church was really boring. In high school, I don't remember knowing any Christians. I didn't know anybody. Like, I can't think, at least anyone who shared about their faith. Or I didn't know really anybody who was waiting till marriage. So I guess I didn't really have an opinion because I didn't know anybody who was Christian in high school or middle school. I didn't know anybody. I'm trying to think even in college. I guess the first time I was like introduced to Christians were when I started watching Christian YouTubers like Jess Conti, and I was like, wow, she's so nice. And Kristen Johns, I remember watching her videos and being like she's an extension of Jesus. Like, she's so sweet. And I started to realize I admired people who were Christian because they had such genuine, just sweet pureness to them. And I think if anything, that was kind of like the start of like, like I really wish I could be that. And I realized I can through Jesus. So someone requested that I do more videos on a connection between worthiness and boys. Amen. I can definitely do that. If you want to see that, please give this video a thumbs up or leave me a comment below. Alyssa wants to ask, she did ask. Alyssa asks, have you had a hard time putting boys as an idol in your relationship, putting your worth in them and not in God? Yes, I wouldn't have realized that's what it was because this was a few years ago and I wasn't Christian at that time, and I definitely got my worthiness from my boyfriend, and he was cheating on me and talking to girls behind my back, and therefore I stayed in that relationship with a lot of low self-worth and self-esteem, and I left that relationship with very low self-esteem and self-worth. And it took me a long time to heal from that, approximately 3 years, to fully, completely move on, not from him, but from the damage that was caused from that relationship, if that makes sense. Now that I'm Christian, I haven't really dated as a Christian besides my last boyfriend, I guess, which I wouldn't have really gotten into that relationship if I was at this point now, but I did. And in that relationship, it wasn't an issue, because I was just like, God is so much better than you. And that sounds bad, but like, it's true. God is so much better than all of us, than any of us. Why would I want to put all my faith in this human that's gonna let me down? I think it's amazing that people try to do their best. That's very important. But I was just like, listen, I'm not gonna put my happiness or worth in somebody ever again, because I saw where that got me before. If you find yourself putting your worth in somebody else, definitely that's a good self-realization, and I think almost that may be an indicator that you're not ready to be in a relationship, or there's some things you need to work through before getting like seriously committed, and that's something you may have to do alone. I find in most cases, if you are struggling with self-worth, it's a very hard thing to figure out when you're in a relationship, because there's always that crutch of someone there, either to aid you or disable you. So I think self-worthiness is something that is more effectively dealt with on your own. Okay guys, those are all the questions for today's video. I think I have some more too, so I can keep doing these series if you want. I love talking about relationships, if you guys can't tell, and singleness and breakups and everything in between. So I appreciate you guys watching. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. I'd like to reach 15,000 subscribers. I'm only about 800 away, so if you want to share this video or one of my favorite videos with a friend or a few friends, that would really support me. I love you guys so much. I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye.